Welcome to Artists in Conversation, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, presented by the Windward Theater Area. My name is Jordan Fox, and I am the Theater Area Advisor here at Windward School. During these unprecedented times when we cannot gather and share stories in the same ways we have in the past, the faculty members of the theater area have decided to take this time to reflect on what inclusion means to our theater community and how we can learn more from others. Although this time keeps us apart physically, we wanted to find ways that we can actually become a stronger community based on openness, mutual respect, and understanding. Our intention is to invite a diverse group of professional theater artists to connect closely to our students and then to our larger community, and to discuss what it really means to actively acknowledge and interrogate racism, discriminatory practices, and inequity in theater arts. With a shared commitment to learn more, actively listen, and lean into discomfort, we want to use this format as a place of learning, reflection, and in the spring, creation of new works by our students inspired by this exposure. We believe that at its very best, theater has the power to change lives. We hope to put that belief into practice through these panel discussions. We are just beginning the work, and this work will continue far into the future. We are committed to our own education as well as the growth of our students. On behalf of my colleagues, we want to express our heartfelt gratitude to our community of faculty and administration for their support and encouragement for us to pursue this journey. We would also like to say thank you to our students for their openness and willingness to lean in and learn. And without further ado, please enjoy Windward School's Artists in Conversation.
I knew I wanted to write this play, but also at the same time, I was obsessed with folk music and I was missing home so much. And I was like listening to all these different folk songs. And I thought, how can I weave these songs into the script? Because at the time, folk music felt like home to me. And another thing, which was funny, is like I grew up listening to like Motown. My parents were constantly listening to Aretha Franklin, Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye. So it wasn't that, folk music was the music I grew up with, but living in North Carolina, it was always kind of in the backdrop and it felt like home. So I knew that this play, I really wanted it to feel like home. People are taking different things, remixing them, taking them and turning it into their own. So why am I talking so much about remix and genre bending? Well, for me, it's important to my art making because I do this a lot. And I feel like these are great tools in helping you create a more original story. And that may sound a bit like a paradox, like how can you be original if you're borrowing and taking from someone else? But honestly, human beings, we've been doing this for a really long time. I've given you recent examples of this, but taking it back and circling it back to Gunshot Medley and other work, popular music, especially in America, and again, why I said circling back to Gunshot Medley, I knew I wanted to put these songs into this piece that felt like home. But most of these songs are actually pretty popular folk songs. So I used stuff like Black is the Color of My True Love's Hair. There was another spiritual in there, Steal Away, which is a popular gospel spiritual. And so folk songs were kind of the pop music back in the day. You know, those were the songs that got passed down. People kept listening to it over and over and over because they were orally passed down. Again, I bring up the remix because I think so often, especially when I was a young writer, I was like, I just need to make it original. I have to find a way to be like my own creative being and make things original. And I think sometimes that can limit people. Seek inspiration, find the things that you love and expound on that, find a way to make it better. Again, don't plagiarize. This is not saying plagiarize, but finding ways to like seek inspiration and create. Because how I feel about it is like Billie Eilish, she is taking all of these different sounds and creating something new. And now we have this new genre of music, you know? And that's how we contribute to making the art form better.
So I'm at Cal and I'm having this another experience of being away from family for the first time, of being independent in a different capacity. Like I had already had work and my own place, but this was completely detached. So that was a whole new universe for me, and it was wonderful. I was in so many programs. I think it happened mostly because I remember with a professor at Pasadena City College, my other alma mater, I told him, you know, I'm about to transfer. What is your biggest advice for me? He's this little historian. He's a really petite gentleman. And he's like, you know, I was so shy at UCLA. And I just remember being in the outside of this big circle. So if I'm gonna give you any advice now, is I wish someone told me to just penetrate, to go into the circle and just do whatever. Nothing's gonna happen to you if you fail. Nothing's gonna happen to you if you fail. Nothing is going to happen to you if you fail. I wanted to say that 3 times so it stays with you. You're gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. You're gonna resurface. Nothing is permanent. And I say this in my life experience and also in education. There are so many avenues to succeed and to do what you want to do and to find your avenue of where you want to go. So don't ever feel like you need to do it the way someone else did it. My boyfriend, who's now my husband, and I decided to settle down and get some roots here in the city and start a family. And ever since then, I navigated myself into Casa 0101 Theater. I became an actor, a playwriting student there because I wanted to re-enter the industry, but I wanted to focus more on writing. And 5 years later, now I'm a board member at that theater. I'm a teaching artist there. I teach playwriting to 7-year-olds to high schoolers, and they're incredible writers. I am so blown away. I'm ready to step back in my rocking chair and be like, take over. You are it. All of you here too, you are it. We're still catching up as people from my generation, I would say. So those are my beginnings and those are my restarts. So growing up and working in the arts world, this is a little bit about my community engagement and film and media kind of talk. That's me dancing in my grandmother's house. I have this weird connection with my grandmother. She's passed now, but I had this weird feeling that every time I danced in our house, somehow she would be healed. I don't know why. I don't know if you all have your own little personal rituals where you walk into your rooms and you're like, if I do this, somewhere in the universe, an angel gets his wings. I don't know. It's like an artist thing. So I always thought whenever my grandmother felt sad, I would just start like flowing around her. And she would laugh because she's like, you're so weird. You're so funny. But I felt also that it was cleansing the space in some capacity with art. These are some projects, you've received a couple of them, I think, that are tied to my immigrant experience. And as much as I like to detach myself from my experience sometimes creatively, it's when I write about it or when I'm writing, it just pops up. It's one of those things. And you'll find that as you grow as an artist in your own realm, whether you're an actor, a dancer, or writer, you'll find that somehow you'll start gravitating towards a certain theme of story, a certain theme of identity, a certain theme of expression, and that's your voice. And so just notice it and be like, oh, okay, this is where my corner is, and It doesn't mean I don't get to explore the other stuff, but it just means that there's something here that I have to say and I have to express so that people can hear that message. And for me, it's to rehumanize the immigrant experience and the immigrant identity. The more we have our works out there, the more we do this kind of things where I'm talking to people like you, the less chances that you will accept the fact that there's children in cages and that there's people right now hurting at the border and, receiving inhumane experiences. So it's important. This is all important. Representation matters.
Like, I'm looking at all of you. You're in your homes, right? Are you feeling trapped? Are you feeling comfortable? Where are your heads about what you're doing, and what do you miss most about kind of being out in the world? Carter?
I feel cozy and comfortable here, and I miss talking to people, like connection and like physical contact and things like that. Basically what everyone's saying in the chat.
I definitely miss seeing people in person and definitely physical contact. I felt like when Julia went off to college in the fall, I was like, wait, I just lost like half of the people I have physical contact with. Now she's 3,000 miles away. Take 10 minutes and write the recipe of your family right now. Does everybody have something to write with?
Do you mean like a meal or like?
It could be whatever you want it to be. It could be the recipe of my family is the sound of my brother's fork driving me crazy as he taps it against his plate every day. It could be, it could be the food that you're making. It could be the maelstrom that is your house right now. It could be the tension, and it could be the things that are comforting, that are part of what your life is right now. So how was that?
That was a lot of fun, I thought.
Yeah. Do you want to share, Daniel?
Oh, sure. So I typed up, I'm not sure if I fully understood the assignment, but this is my version of it. The rest
you don't need to.
The sound of laughter, overlapping conversations, the smells and sounds of food being cooked, looking forward to the next meal while the current meal is still being eaten, love, respect for differences most of the time, divergent career paths and personality traits, cleaning and organizing things together, pictures and videos of children, overactive text chains with too many bitmojis, extraordinary amount of love for Disney films, faith and hope in a better tomorrow, history, reliving experiences, telling stories, being Singaporean Chinese in America in 2020, dreaming about travel.
Wow. That's great. Abby, will you share?
Yeah, I also didn't understand it that much, so
you have to get that it's never to really understand it. It's just to try to do something. So don't worry about that.
I kind of made like a recipe of like my family-ish. So, okay. My brother's screaming at the television while watching sports. It's my mother crafting her emails and working on her charts. My sister's alarm going off to take her cookies out of the oven. It's getting my cat out of a tree. My sister playing Go Fish with her friends. It's my dogs barking at literally nothing. My dad watching The Voice and repeatedly saying, "Oh, they're really good." It's my grandpa gardening. My grandma making way too salty desserts. And me loving them even though they're extremely obnoxious.
That's great. Who was somebody else? Was it Daisy? Were you raising your hand?
An endless amount of laughter, sharing all our emotions, both happy and sad, with one another. Watching movies on mom and dad's bed, even though it should not be able to fit all six of us, we fit perfectly. A kitchen filled with noise and smiles at all times. Music always blasting through the house. Gathering around the dinner table, eager to eat and play games. Looking at each of those faces around the table and thinking how lucky you are to be able to be here. But my family is also filled with tearful goodbyes and drop-offs at the airport, watching as one by one the pack of six shrivels down to four, wishing that the table would be filled with six loving and unique faces again. My family is wishing that all time was family time.
All right, I'm gonna try and do it without crying.
Okay.
You all know me. I'm a big crybaby. But I did the recipe for family Christmas because, yeah, my family is giant, and my favorite. When I think family, I think Christmas Day at my grandma's house. So, as many uncles as you can fit in the corner of the kitchen, crowded around a piece of beef, and somehow adding as many aunts into those crevices with pots and casserole dishes and bowls. And the smell of all that cooking thickening the air like a gravy, topping everything. Sprinkles of laughter from the living room, all the cousins singing together, performing their favorite Broadway song at the time. You get season everything with a little bit of English, a little bit of Mexican, a little bit of Cuban, and a little bit of Hawaiian. Each house brings its own special meal and personality. The sound of plates and cups and silverware clashing together, the sounds of arms and forks reaching across the plates to try what the other person has, and the feeling of love making it all put together.
It's gonna make me cry.
Yeah.
I'm talking like also about Christmas at my grandma's house. Mac and cheese that my mom made the night before, cookies baking in the oven that I made, mom yelling at dad, teenage rebellion, siblings yelling, siblings fighting, siblings crying, siblings making up. Mama and I, which is what I call my grandmother, sneaking away to watch a movie at night, while my cousins yell about as my uncles yell about who should take over the TV to pick what NFL game we should watch tonight. Crying, laughing, dysfunctional family shenanigans. That is Christmas with the Mitchells.
I just want you to see that there's an overarching commonality, but there's so much specificity in what everybody has.
I really was thinking about right now, which was really interesting because we've worked together, and I know it's such a fantastic exercise that previously I'd thought of other times, but something about this time right now is really just my house at this moment. Okay. Food all the time, so many meals, so many snacks, continuous baking, sneaking raw batter in the morning, sneaking treats at night, so many family meals, asking about each other's day even though we've been mostly together, clanking of dishes, asking for more, so many dishes, loading the dishwasher, unloading the dishwasher. Then it starts all over again, skipping down the hall, dance parties, lots of music, make the fun, create a weekend.
Oh, that's great. And look, the shift of perspective, right? You guys are all doing it from child perspective, and this is the mom perspective of, hello, yet another dish. Please don't eat that thing because there's going to be another dish.
Sarcasm, love, acceptance, humor, always eating dinner together, and then after dinner, my siblings always finding a way to leave the room that we're in so that they can avoid cleaning up. That's a big theme in my family. Everybody interrupting me when I try to speak. That's another big thing that happens all the time. And then an obsession with everything Star Wars. My brother knows every random fact about every random thing about Veronica knows, but he's obsessed. We're all kind of obsessed though. That's it.
That's great. Somehow you just reminded me of having to write something about dinner time when I was in school, and in it calling my dad on the fact that he always disappeared to deal with the mail between dinner and dessert because my mother would do all the cleanup between dinner and dessert so he wouldn't have to clean up. And after sharing that with them, he actually got nailed for it, and he actually was not allowed to go to the mail anymore. He's like, I didn't think anyone noticed I did that. So you never know. Sharing some of this stuff with your family might actually get you somewhere.
How do you share your authentic voice? Yeah, I see.
I have something to.
Yeah.
I think a lot of finding your authentic voice comes with experiences and how you move through your experiences throughout life, whether they're difficult or easy. And I think we learn a lot about ourselves when we are put in those experiences that are uncomfortable, and like leaning into that difficulty is something that for me personally has helped me grow. I'm a junior, right? And so I'm 16 years old, but I feel like quarantine, especially with COVID and everything, I've learned a lot about myself, and I've dived into writing a lot. And I've learned more about my voice, like as a writer, in terms of just journaling and writing down stuff in my notes, but also in the essence of like my English class and how I want to use my voice, because we're having the opportunity to write. Like last year we went to write like very academic essays, and now we have the chance to write more like using our own style. And I just think that this time has been really transformative. And I'm curious to know if like other students have had that as well, that experience with COVID, or like, have you, Anna, felt that way?
Yeah, absolutely. COVID? Yeah, that's a time to reflect, a time to see how you fit in this world, right? This has really been a challenging moment for a lot of people, but it also has created a lot of transformation in people, right? Like, the way you move through the world in the past, right? Even though the past was only in March, right? Okay. You see yourself like, well, the things I thought I really cared about really don't matter anymore, right? The things that I do care about is really my cat. For me, it's my dog Chimichanga. I care about my family, the health, really core things about yourself and who you really are. So I think like your generation are going to see the world differently now than before COVID, right?
Totally.
But Carter, did you have something to share?
Oh, I was just going to basically say what Paige said. I can't speak. What Paige said. And I was going to say like reflecting on your past and like talking about like thinking like what Paige basically said, just like looking back and like reflecting on it, not just moving forward.
As a writer, how much of your own actual experience are you encouraging your students or playwrights to be sort of tapping into? And then where do you sort of encourage them to pivot and tap into their own creativity? I'm just curious, this navigating your authentic voice, but also your imagination.
Yeah. For example, with I give them free rein really to create a world that they want to create. So for example, with Casey's piece, it was very autobiographical, really close, but they changed a few things in the story. But obviously with Andrew's piece, it was more of a creative kind of in your head type of story. But we've come out with like sci-fi pieces, like queer sci-fi pieces. And we've come out with these monologues that are very intense. So it just depends on where we meet the writer where they're at. We don't force them to write a certain style. We don't force them to tell a certain type of story. We just meet them. We give them the toolkits, the tools for them to learn how to write a play, because a lot of these writers are new and they've never had the opportunity to learn how to write a play. And so from there, they just kind of grow the dialogue, grow the world, grow everything organically on their own. So we just offer the genres and they go with it. I'm expecting soon we'll have the horror genre coming through, but as of now, they're just really writing from what they know.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thank you.